Hello and welcome to the Sonic Cinema podcast. My name is Brian Scuttle and thank you for joining me at www.sonic-cinema.com. Join me at Sonic Cinema Patreon at patreon.com/Sonic Cinema. There you'll get some exclusive content reviews before they show up on Sonic Cinema, as well as commentary and just some other odds and ends when it comes to my creative work, as well as uh, discussing movies. That's patreon.com/Sonic Cinema. Thank you for everybody who has joined that so far, and I hope you enjoyed the content I provide over the weekend that this episode is going to cover, which is my annual trip to DragonCon in downtown Atlanta, which happens over Labor Day weekend, is a genre convention that is near and dear to my heart. This was my 10th year going down there. And it was like every year, it has its own little things that were good, things that were, I don't know if they weren't that good, but I mean, they were definitely. There was a lot of things I'm glad that we got a chance to do. There were a lot of things that I enjoyed doing, and this definitely felt better as an experience, I think, than last year. Unlike previous years, my mother Victoria did not join us, but I am grateful that she paid mine and Meredith's way on this trip. It was definitely something that made the experience all the better for us. And so I do want to give a shout out to her. It meant a lot to us that we were able to do that, and that we were able to relax a bit more on that experience. And having her not there, it was unfortunate. I do miss her being a part of that Dragon Con experience, but at the same time, I'm glad her knees had been bothering her for a while, and I know last year she had a tough time getting around, so I was glad that I didn't have to worry about her down there. So that was good. Thursday, we didn't really do anything, although other than get our badges, go to the Dragon Con store, as well as check into the hotel. We were once again at the Hilton Garden Inn over by the Georgia Aquarium, which was a welcome change from last year when we were at the W, and that was kind of a miserable experience. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how the convention expands, because Wednesday really has become the new Thursday for a lot of people, and it'll be interesting to see it because I know a lot of panels, a lot of tracks down there started programming on Thursday, and I'm kind of curious to see if that's going to continue on next year and expand a little bit further, so that when Friday hits, you basically just hit the ground running, which is one of the things I like about going down there on Thursday. Um, so Thursday, that's all we did, and Friday we did kind of hit the ground running. We first went to the vendors, which opened at 10 a.m., which was a bit of a change from previous years. We went through there for a little bit. We talked. We got some pops. We got quite a few pops this weekend, and then we went to the Hyatt for our first panel of the day and of the weekend for Mystery Science Theater 3000 Return to Satellite Love. And I had Joel Hodgson, Jonah Ray, who was the host on the new series that Netflix uh, distributed, and Felicia Day, who plays one of the new Mads, and some of the other great writers and puppeteers on the show. And that was a lot of fun for me. Meredith was a bit bored for, but I mean, Mystery Science Theater is more my thing than it is hers. So that only makes sense. Afterwards, we didn't do a whole lot of panels. We didn't do a whole lot of scheduled things. Part of that was by design because of some of the things that we had in mind. But this year we did spend a lot of time at the Walk of Fame trying to meet people, and at the vendors trying to find pops for our respective collections. I'm very much a Star Wars pop person. She's a Game of Thrones person, and we also got some select other ones. I got some of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer ones, and a couple of other genre ones that I really enjoy. Uh, some of the people we met on Friday were Nick Frost from Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and he was the first person I got to meet, and he was really wonderful to talk to and get to meet. Uh, then I went to go get Mitch Pileggi's autograph. He was director Skinner from the X Files, as well as in Wes Craven Shocker. And he got a big kick out of the fact that I told him that my mother, who I was getting the autograph for, introduced me to Shocker, and talked about that a little bit, and just how much uh, he meant to my mom watching the X Files as director Skinner. So that was nice. The big one that Meredith got this day was Graham McTavish, who played Dougal Mackenzie on the show she likes from Star's Outlander, and he also played one of the hobbits in the one of the dwarves in the Hobbit trilogy. And that led us into our second panel of the con end of the day, the Dwarves of Middle Earth panel with Graham McTavish and Dean O'Gorham or Gorman, and that was a really entertaining panel. We waited for about an hour or so, but it was worth it because we got pretty good seats for. We actually got decent seats for most of the panels, actually. Um, After that one, I wanted to do one that I actually took in a couple of years ago, and I wanted to see it again. It was 50 Years of Music Synthesis, and it was put on by a professor at Georgia Tech, and it was a lot of fun hearing him talk. He sort of refined the way the discussion goes and doing more and more examples of some of the synthesizers that he was talking about, as well as giving us an example of showing us what an early synthesizer was like in person. And I didn't get to mess with it like I did a couple of years ago because I could tell Meredith was not only pretty bored with that as I kind of expected she would be, but we had been up for a while, and she hadn't been feeling well going into the weekend, so we were going to call the night there. We were going to try to eat at Hard Rock that night. We usually do on Fridays, but it was a pretty long wait, and so we just got takeout and took it back to the hotel. So that was our Friday, and it was pretty good. It was pretty rewarding, I think, for both of us. We got a lot of things out of the way first, and that was definitely the bulk of the panels that we ended up doing over the weekend. We only did 6 panels. This was not big year as far as panels. We didn't do any of the film festival, but I still feel like it was a fulfilling weekend for us in general. So Saturday was a bit interesting because we certainly did not want to do a repeat of the mistake that I made of getting us caught in the parade and causing a panic attack in my wife. So we basically parked very close to the vendors and basically ended up staying over there for the duration of the parade, which was great because we got a few more things that we were looking at, and just were able to we were able to relax a little bit. And one of the things that was great about the vendors this year is they added a third floor to the America's Mart building that they're in, and that really spaced things out, and it controlled the traffic, foot traffic that was in there. And I don't remember if I've ever had a more relaxing time at the vendors at DragonCon. They did a really good job with that. Um, I think we tried to do the Walk of Fame to see who was there a bit before after that, but the main thing we did was we went to go get in line for our one panel on Saturday, which was the Smallville cast reunion of Lost Choices, and it was a panel that included Aaron Ashmore, who played Jimmy Olsen for a season of Smallville, Erica Serra, who was in a couple of episodes in different roles, Michael Rosenbaum, who was absolutely insane to watch on the panel, and it was a lot of fun to watch. He played Lex Luthor, and Tom Welling, who played Clark Kent on it. And I didn't realize that he was in Draft Day. I forgot he was in Draft Day, and he did not look like he did on the show. It was very different. But that was an entertaining panel. That was probably one of the most. It's probably the most entertaining panel we got to see, and it was just entertaining. And Michael Rosenbaum really stole the show. He was really engaged with the audience, and went right into the audience, sat in somebody's lap, and it was just kind of crazy. Uh, and so that was the only panel we did. We did after that we went back to the Walk of Fame, I believe, and and so we did that for a little bit. We saw a few people there. Then we went to the uh, Hard Rock to just um, relax and take it easy before we went back to. I think we went back to vendors for a little bit after that, and then after that, Meredith laid down for a little bit, and we then got ready to go to the first time we've ever done the Dragon Con night, the Georgia Aquarium, which was right next to our hotel. And it's something I've wanted to do for a few years now. And it mainly was, I like the idea of it. I like the idea of doing that, especially if you cosplay, especially if you're going there with a big group, especially if you're really interested in the cosplay contest that they have, and especially if you haven't been to the Georgia Aquarium. It's unfortunate that they don't have the entire aquarium open, but I mean, it was it was an experience. I'm glad we went once. Uh, Maybe we might go. Maybe if there's a group that we were to go with, it might have been more enjoyable. But overall, I mean, it. I'm glad I did it this once, and it it may be like the only time we ever do it, and I'm kind of fine with that. It was a good experience. I'm glad we did it. We went for about 40 minutes or so, and then we just went home. So went back to the hotel, which was good because uh, we ended up going to sleep early that night because we wanted to get up early the next day. Because our one panel that ended up being the case on Sunday, actually we did two panels technically, but one major panel was at 10 a.m. in the morning. And I wanted to make sure we both wanted to make sure that we were there early to uh, to get good seats for it. And that was the MCU cast chosen family panel at the Hyatt, preceded by the Dragon Con Late Show, where they talked about stuff in the Daily Dragon and some of the things that had gone on throughout the con. Uh, the MCU one was one that I really wanted to do a big part because of who was there, and we ended up being the first people in line, and we got in front row. It was fantastic to get to see Karen Gillan, Palm Clementieff, and Benedict Wong, all three of whom are wonderful to meet in person. We did end up meeting all three of them in person throughout the rest of the weekend, and it was just a very fun panel. Everybody really enjoyed the interacting with the audience, and it was a lot of fun getting as much insight as we could about the MCU and about their experience with the MCU in general. And it was a lot of fun because I know Karen's been there for a few years, and I hadn't seen her there before. Palm and Benedict, I think this was their first time at con, and they really enjoyed. They were a lot of fun. Palm played Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Benedict Wong played Wong in Doctor Strange, and Karen obviously plays Nebula in the Guardians movies. And you know, just it made me appreciate what those actors bring to those roles even more. Hearing them talk about it, and was definitely not the last experience I would have with them throughout the weekend. Today, on Sunday, the rest of the day was very much devoted to um, just we met up with our friend Daniel, who was bringing his son Asher to the con for the first time, and they had blast. We didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with them, but it was great to see them and for a little bit and to get an idea as to what he was planning on doing his first con, and that was hopefully if they return, we'll be able to do a little bit more together. Today, like the on Sunday, like the previous 2 days, we basically there were a couple of panels I was kind of interested in doing. Um, Ended up not doing either of them just because that ended up not being what this con was about. This con was about being uh, meeting the people who were there and meeting the celebrities who were there. And I think I'm kind of glad for that because the last year, the only one that I really got to meet was John Cusack, and I would have loved to have gotten a selfie with him. Unfortunately, didn't really work out that way financially, but we ended up meeting a lot of people this year, and two of those were the two kids, Gaten and Caleb from Stranger Things, who played Lucas and Dustin and Lucas respectively. And they were nice. I enjoyed. I'm glad I got a chance to meet them, even though I still haven't finished season 2. Um, and I'm partially glad to see them because it did give me a reason to not necessarily go to the panel because I could at least say I got a chance to meet them, how much I enjoyed their work. And Caleb was really cool. Gaten was uh, entertaining. He was very much more the star of the two, but I'm glad I got a chance to meet both of them. Let's see, trying to think of other people I got to meet. I got to meet Gina Torres finally from Firefly and Angel. I'm almost done meeting all of the Firefly people at DragonCon. I missed Nathan Fillion last year, unfortunately, but him and Sean Marr, I think the only two that are left as far as the main actors. Zoe was really nice. I'm glad I got a chance to see her. When I met Benedict Wong after the MCU cast, he was a delight, and he was probably my favorite person to meet at this con. I just really loved talking to him. How much and just kind of telling him how much I appreciate Doctor Strange, how much I love uh, his part of Doctor Strange because he really is a big part of why that film works, in my opinion. We did, and this day we also did two we also did 2 professional photo ops. We actually ended up doing 4 throughout the weekend, but we did 2 today. The first one was for me for Mystery Science Theater 3000 with Jonah, and Felicia, and that was a lot of fun. I got to meet Jonah for the first time. I'd already met jo- Joel and Felicia over the years a few times at DragonCon, and told him how much I enjoyed seeing him on the new series of Mystery Science Theater, and that was a lot of fun. And to have those 3 together for a group shot, and then later we did one that Meredith wanted to do with Tom Welling and Brandon Routh, who was there for mainly for his work in the DC TV universe, but he was also Superman in Superman Returns. So we did a photo op with the 2 Superman. And I wore my Man of Steel Superman shirt, which is one of the few Superman shirts I have and the only one I can find right now. And Meredith actually got a Super Cat one that has the S on there, has laser beams coming out of the cat's eyes, and Brendan Routh did mention how cool that shirt was. So we got to talk to them. We got to see them for a little bit, and that was cool. And we tried to get up to Walk of Fame to have both of them sign the photo. We only got Tom Welling, unfortunately. Brandon Routh, by the time we actually got into the Walk of Fame, was gone, unfortunately. But I'm glad we got a chance to meet Tom. We were one of his last people there. And also earlier in this day, I got a chance to meet Evangeline Lilly, who was from Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Hobbit movies, and Lost, and got her autograph, and got her autograph on a Wasp pop that we bought, and told her, how much we enjoyed her work, and she was actually there with a children's book that she had written, which came with the autograph, and there was a prequel that she's also written, so bought that as well, and so that was really cool. I'm glad that we got a chance to meet her. And then when we went up to see Tom Welling, Palm was there from the MCU, and I wanted to see if she was going to be there, because the other 2 photo ops we had are the next on Monday, and they were a great double whammy to finish off our con. Were Evangeline Lilly and Karen Gillan and Palm together. Evangeline Lilly by herself, and then Karen and Palm together. So I wanted to see if Palm was going to be available at the Walk of Fame to do an autograph afterwards. And sure enough, she was. And Karen, who was there on Sunday, Monday only, was able to. And so we got their autograph after the photo op, and that was really great. So, that goes into Monday, which we start off after we checked out to back at the dealers, where we got a couple more things. I got a really cool Predator shirt, which I'm looking forward to wearing this coming Thursday for the premiere of the Predator. And then we went to the Marriott for our last panel of the con for Luke Skywalker Hero. And this was a discussion panel on the Star Wars track discussing how much the journey of Luke Skywalker as a character, including the new canon as well as The Last Jedi. And I really wanted to do this discussion, and it was an entertaining discussion. I'm glad we got a chance to do it. And because Luke Skywalker is my favorite movie character of all time, and one of my favorite characters of all time. And the thing is, The Last Jedi is a big part of it. And one of the things I like about what happened with him in The Last Jedi is that, I look at Luke in the original trilogy, and he's like, I identify with him there because you want to take on the world. And then but I really identify with him in The Last Jedi because I feel a lot like Luke in The Last Jedi, in that looking back on my life and really examining it and just seeing how that makes me feel. And it's like that's one of the things I love about that arc. So um, it was great to get other people's perspective on it and to see how other people reacted to to the Last Jedi. So and what it did with Luke's character. After that, we hit the Walk of Fame, and I got to meet Lucky McKee, who's a filmmaker, genre filmmaker, whom I know best as the director of a fantastic film called May, which I ended up buying that and got him to sign. And it was great to talk to him and to really tell him how much I appreciated the film back in the day, and now I'm looking forward to revisiting it. And then we went down to do our last two photo ops with Evangeline Lilly, who, and then Karen and Palm, and those were terrific ways to end up the con, which we culminated in with going up and getting Palm and Karen to sign the photo op that we had just done, and got to talk to them for a little bit more, and they were both really lovely. Everybody, I really enjoyed talking to everybody. And then after that, we went home, and that was our Dragon Con, and I don't know, it's definitely up there with one of my favorite ones. It was definitely a step up from the previous year, which I was not. I did feel uneasy about afterwards because I just it just hit me the wrong way, and so that was our Dragon Con, and I usually try to do this the night of or the day after, but I partially because of my work schedule, the way that worked out after Con, and partially the way that I kind of got under the weather myself, I've been putting it off for a few days, and so this is my thoughts on Dragon Con this year. It's still a lot of fun. I'm still glad that I'm going every year. Next year, I'm definitely cosplaying as a Jedi because I've been wanting to do that for a couple of years now, and I'm ready to do that and add that to my Dragon Con experience. So, with all that being said, thank you for joining me on the podcast today, and thank you for those of you who joined me at patreon.com/SonicCinema. I hope you enjoyed the little video updates that I had throughout the weekend at Dragon Con, and I've got some more content this coming month, some more reviews that I hope you'll enjoy. And for now, I've got a few filmmaker discussions, a couple genre discussions, a couple film breakdowns coming up in the next few months. We're gonna, and then basically at some point gonna hit the ground running on this 1999 project. Hopefully getting everything I want to get into. We're gonna see how this goes. I'm looking forward to it though. I hope to get pretty re-energized here coming up. And for now, this is Brian Scuttle. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day or night, depending on when you listen to this. Thank you.